Hi, Kevin here. Nice to see you again. For dinner tonight, we're fixing a tangy taco casserole. And the recipe comes from a book that my friend Steve gave me. It's called The Hollywood Bowl Cookbook. And what this book was a fundraiser for the Los Angeles Philharmonic way back in 1984. Anyway, lots of recipes in here, and this one just looked really tempting. The tangy taco casserole. And I did make it yesterday. It was absolutely delicious. Now, the only change I'm going to make to the recipe is that instead of using the called for 1.5 pounds of ground beef, I'm going to use 1 pound of Beyond Beef. And this Beyond Beef is vegan. So let's move over to the stovetop and get started on the recipe. All right, I have my 12-inch skillet set over a medium flame. So now I'm going to first add a glug of olive oil. Spin that around. And then in goes the Beyond Beef. And then we're going to break this up. I want my wooden spatula for this, I think. I'm going to break this up, or crumble it. And then we will be adding onion to the meat. And again, you can use regular ground beef, or even ground sirloin, or ground chicken, or ground turkey. Any ground meat would work in here, really. I'm just trying to eat less red meat these days. And I do happen to like Beyond Beef. Okay, now I'm going to add the onion. This is 1 medium onion diced. Stir that in. Then we're going to let the meat and the onions cook, for about 5 minutes, just until the onions soften. Okay, while the meat and the onions are browning, preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, take 1 cup of small curd cottage cheese, add 1 large egg, and whisk them together. Yeah, that's easy enough to do. And then take some store-bought packaged tortilla chips and put them in a Ziploc bag and then crush them with a mallet. I've already done mine. You'll need roughly a 1/2 cup of the crushed tortilla chips. All right, we're back at the stovetop, and the meat and the onions have all browned. So now we're going to add, the recipe says a 16-ounce can of tomatoes, but I don't think they make 16-ounce cans of tomatoes anymore. This is a 14.5-ounce can, so that's what I'm using. You want the tomatoes and all of their juices. And stir that into the meat mixture. Then add 1 10-ounce can of red enchilada sauce. Now, yesterday was the first time I've ever used this enchilada sauce, and boy, is it delicious. I was lucky that my supermarket carries it. Yeah, the enchilada sauce is the reason that we will not have to add cumin or cayenne or chili powder. I think all of those ingredients are in the sauce. It's got a real nice kick to it. Then add a 2 1/4 ounce can of sliced black olives and all of their liquid. Stir that in. Then we need 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I think the Beyond Beef already has seasonings in it, so I'm going to reduce the salt to about 3/4 of a teaspoon. We also need 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. And a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Yeah, we're going to call that a 1/4 teaspoon. Stir. Okay, and then let this simmer quietly for about 20 minutes or until the liquids have reduced and become thick. Okay, while we're waiting for the sauce to thicken up, the recipe calls for 8 corn tortillas, and we are supposed to soften them in a little vegetable oil in a skillet. However, there is a much easier way to soften tortillas. You simply place them on either damp paper towels or a damp terry cloth, like I'm using, and then fold the cloth over and just pop this in the microwave, for 30 to 45 seconds. I'm going to do that and then I'll come right back. Okay, here are the tortillas, now steamed until they're soft. And what we're supposed to do is cut them in half. Trying to center this so you can see. I'm going to cut mine in half with this pastry cutter. Done! Okay, and then to make sure these remain soft, I'm just going to cover them with the damp terry cloth. Now, since this book was published in 1984, it got me to thinking about who I was in 1984. And I can tell you that I was a punk rocker. I had a mohawk haircut. It was fire engine red on the top, jet black on the sides. Oh yeah, I looked like a punk rocker. And I was in a band. I was the lead singer in the band, and I wrote all of the songs. But they were not your typical punk songs. They were actually very melodious. In other words, they had good hooks. You could sing along. Anyway, that's just a little aspect of my life. Okay, obviously the punk rock days didn't last, and I'm glad they didn't. Okay, back to cooking. All right, our sauce has thickened up appreciably. You can now see the bottom of the skillet when you scrape with a spatula. Yeah, so we're ready. I'm going to turn off the heat. And then we can assemble the casserole. All right, so I have my assembly line here. And I am going to be making this dish in a 9x13 casserole, although the author of the recipe said to use a 3-quart casserole. But it will work. Anyway, you want to grease the casserole and then add, she says 1/3 of the meat mixture, but I noticed yesterday that there's really only enough ingredients here to do 2 additions or 2 layers of the meat mixture. Just spread that out. And then add, let's see, you need a 1/2 pound of thinly sliced Jack cheese. I assume she meant Monterey Jack. I'm using Colby Jack because it melts really well and I love it. Okay, and you arrange the slices in 1 layer on top of the meat mixture. Yeah, this is one of those very cheesy, very melty casseroles. So that was a 1/2 pound of Jack cheese, thinly sliced. And I'm using slightly more than a 1/2 pound. Then add 1/2 of that cottage cheese mixture that we made earlier. Spoon that on. I'm going to spread it a little. Add some more. And then we add 1/2 of the halved tortillas. Again, 1 layer. Go this way. And then we start the next layer, meat sauce. Boy, I wish Mr. Fox was here to enjoy this casserole. He's actually in New York City today. We're both fully vaccinated, so he felt comfortable taking the train into Manhattan, where he has an office. He hasn't been there since February 2nd. And today is, I think, April 14th. In fact, I'm quite certain that today is April 14th. Okay, then more of the Jack cheese. Oh, I had just enough of the Jack cheese. And then we do the cottage cheese, the remainder. Yeah, I think the author's ingredients are a bit off for this recipe, even if you were using the smaller casserole dish, because this isn't much of the cottage cheese mixture, but this is exactly what I did yesterday, and everything worked out, to my surprise, really, really well. Okay. Now what you're supposed to do is add more of the tortilla, actually the remaining, tortilla halves. So we'll go this way and this way. And then you're supposed to add more of the meat mixture, but of course I don't have any left. So what I'm going to do is finish it with cheddar cheese. And she said, how much cheddar cheese? She said a 1/2 cup grated cheddar cheese. Probably going to use more like a cup. And this is sharp cheddar cheese. I bought a brick of it and then I shredded it myself in the little food processor. I think the already shredded cheese that you buy in little bags just doesn't melt very well. I don't know why that is. I think they might add something to it that precludes it from melting. Okay, And finally, we have those crushed tortilla chips. She says a half cup. I'm probably going to use more like a full cup. And you sprinkle it just along the border. I can tell you that as this dish cooks, these chips become super crispy. I mean, they're already crispy now, but they become crispier still in the oven. Okay. And then this goes into the preheated 350-degree oven until the cheese melts. That's going to take about 30 minutes. We will come back when the casserole is ready. And here's the tangy taco casserole, fresh out of the oven. It's piping hot, and I have to tell you, it smells terrific. I'm going to let it cool down for just a bit, then we can have a taste of it. All right, it's time to eat. Really, all this casserole needs for an accompaniment is a nice green salad. But look at this. Look at how stringy the cheese is. Yum. Okay, you guys, this is truly magnificent. I love the crunch from the crushed tortilla chips. I love the tomatoes in here and the tangy enchilada sauce and the black olives and the Colby Jack cheese and the cheddar cheese and the tortillas. I really hope you'll give this a try. Okay, I'm going to post the list of ingredients in the description box below, and in a day or two I will post the printable recipe over on my website. So I'll post a link to the website below, and please like this video, please subscribe, and please post a comment below because I really love hearing from you. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.